For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on your favorite podcast app. I have some big news today because, you know what? I got to see my grandma for the first time since this whole Corona thing started. Why are we not calling it Corona anymore? Is it COVID now? Anyway, that's not the point. Point is, I got to see my Baba. And the last time, by the way, was the beginning of March or early March, because Wednesday nights I used to go and play bingo with her. That was her home. She's in a home. Her home is not that far from my house, and it's actually between probably my parents, my brother, and me. We're all within close proximity. I would say that I live the closest to her. I have walked my dogs to her place, and so it is maddening that you can live so near somebody and not be able to have an interaction with them. Yeah, you could do the whole like seeing them through the window and whatever. Well, my grandma has dementia and wouldn't understand why we're not coming in or why she wouldn't come out to see us, right? So it's just not even worth it. And she's still one of those people who, she's been there now for about a year and a half. She still cries all the time because she misses my grandpa who died, a while back, but she was basically taken out of her house, right? I mean, if that's the place that you know and you're comfortable, and now all of a sudden you're in this place where you don't know anybody, it's scary, I can imagine. And so I was able to go and see her for the first time. Now, we have a big family, so the problem is, with the new restrictions of visiting people and what have you, right? First of all, there was no visiting allowed, and now it's almost like a waiting list to see her because everybody else in the home, right? Everybody has a family. Everybody else has guests and visitors. Well, you're only allowed so many people, not within our family. I'm just saying general visitors at a certain time. So you kind of have to wait for your place in rotation. And again, in our family, obviously the priority is going to go to like my mom, my aunt, my uncle, like my grandma's kids, her kids. And then it'll be to us adults, the grandkids and then the great-grandkids. And so, again, it all becomes an age thing. Well, I'm not the oldest grandkid, so, I kind of have to wait my turn. And there's still that distancing thing where you have to kind of stay back. So I'm actually kind of glad that I didn't go for the first few weeks that it was open because you couldn't get within 6 feet of them. So you basically kind of had to sit like across from a table, just like you see on those TV interviews, when somebody's interviewing face to face, like a Barbara Walters kind of a sit down, they're sitting so far apart from you. And, we would go and we would play cards or do a puzzle or play bingo or something like that. So I wouldn't want to go and see her then because it's like, I got to wear a mask. She's got to be so far away. We have to be outside. It's almost like it's a visiting hours for a prison is kind of how it looked to me when I saw pictures from when my family members were there. And so it was really cool to be able to go there. Now things have eased a little bit where we can, you can go, they still don't want you, hugging and whatever, but I mean, you can sneak it. Now I realize people are going to go and say, that's very dangerous, that you putting your own grandma at risk. Well, you know what? I'm not. I know that I don't have the corona, so I'm okay. I wouldn't trust the other people who were there because, as we saw, even just with the whole toilet paper debacle when this started, people are only looking out for themselves. I'm obviously looking out for my loved one. I got the test and everything when I went there, so I'm okay in doing that. But anyway, so it was just really exciting to go and see somebody who you've lived. And even when she lived in her own house, again, I would walk my dogs there because that was a little bit further. So I'd say about a 35 minute walk. But still, somebody that you see all the time and suddenly you just can't anymore. And they're in this vulnerable position, as she is, in a home. She doesn't have anything there. Most of her worldly possessions are still at the house that she's not inhabiting. She's not there, right? She's got some things, but it's basically like living in a hospital in a sense. So it was great to see her. I'm really excited. I've got this energy. I'm talking a mile a minute, but there we go. All right. So what else is coming up on the show this week? Entrepreneurs have a good and bad nowadays when it comes to artsy people. Let's say writers and painters and things like that. You can get so mixed into the crowd because everybody's a writer nowadays, right? So I had some interactions with a listener and how it's so much easier just to get naked and make money that way. It kind of seems to be the consensus these days. And also, I have an aging dog, and so those long walks that I just talked about are getting a little bit harder and harder for him to do, and I feel the frustration building up when I take him out. I have 2 dogs. When I take him out and he's not, keeping up with us as he used to, and, he's falling behind or doesn't want to go as far. So, whether it's an aging grandma or an aging dog, you still have to adapt to the way things are changing, right? If you're like me who doesn't like change, and I don't, you don't want that relationship with them to change. You want him to be the dog to keep up with you. You want your grandma to be able to remember everything, right? And there's that frustration when they can't. They can't. It's beyond their control. And so I've got a story about my dog as well. It's almost like a theme day. Well, not really, about making money, jerking, whatever. And, okay. All right. Let's take a break, and we'll get into it right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. There are so many different, they're called communities, I guess, on Facebook or different social media channels. They used to be called message boards back in the time, right? Or chat rooms even. And it's, I appreciate it because it lets people share their projects that they're working on. What I mean by this is there's a whole bunch of ones for independent authors, for instance, podcasters as well, artists who, maybe you paint, maybe you, whatever, you draw, whatever it might be. And so I appreciate that there's these different platforms, communities that people of the same interest can share. What's interesting, though, is that as an entrepreneur, and again, there's tons of groups that tell you how to start a business, right? How to maximize your social media. Everybody's an expert when it comes to things like that. And I was interacting one-on-one with a listener back and forth who wants to write a book, but just says, like, it's so hard because everybody's an author nowadays, right? Just like everybody's a broadcaster nowadays. These industries, writing, so I've been a newspaper columnist for 15 years. I've been in radio for 15 years. The industries have changed. Not everybody had a platform to voice their opinion or host a show or whatever, and clearly that's changed now. And so somebody who's interested in writing a book reached out to me and said, you've got a best-selling book, but I was looking up your books and seeing, but you're not backed by one of the big publishers, Random House or Penguin, whatever they might be. And I said, no, I'm not. And they said, well, how do you get, a best-selling book without kind of that push, without that support within the industry? And I said, well, it was really hard. I'm not saying that I've done anything miraculous. Is it incredible to have a best-selling book, when I was, early 30s without the big backers, and I've got my book in Costco and Walmart and all that? I found it to be a huge professional feat. I wasn't going around bragging about it and telling people. But anyway, So here's somebody who's a like-minded individual who has the same interest and just kind of wants to pick my brain since I've gone through it. And so he was telling me it was fascinating because I hadn't thought about this. Admittedly, I don't spend much time on social media or porn websites, but there's a connection here. Wait for it. That he said, like, you'd almost think that it's easier to make money just to strip down and jerk off in front of a camera. And that didn't just come out of nowhere. We had some back and forth before that. And I said, yeah, I guess so. I mean, there's a whole bunch of platforms. Like, I know about these different websites where people would go and you would webcam and people would pay you to, take off your clothes. I didn't realize, though, that it's gone one step further now where people can just basically create their own account or their own like profile page and have their own subscribers. It's like a social media thing, but just for your own porn pictures and videos. I didn't realize that existed. And so, like, I knew about the ones where you would sit their webcam and then you would encourage people, you'd interact and you'd encourage people to give you money if you took off your shirt or your pants and sat in your underwear or whatever you did. I know that. And I didn't realize this was a thing that people, and see, this is people who are very well versed know exactly what I'm talking about. They're like, yeah, wrap this up, finish the story. What are you getting at? And so anyway, this aspiring author had said, like, you'd almost think that there's no sense in having talent anymore in terms of creative arts or anything like that. I can basically just put my phone on the counter and shower, and I can make money just from showering. And I said, that is sort of sad. I mean, it's a good thing. Hey, don't get me wrong. If people can make six figures just by doing these natural functions that you're going to do anyway, I'm going to go and beat off on my couch, so I might as well video record it. Okay, great. I mean, if you can make money doing that, why not, right? No different than people who back in the day would make porn for a living. You kind of sit there and go, well, that's, and it's like, I'm getting paid to have sex, you know? To me, that's never been my thing. And certainly, again, the guy that I have, I've got a Brazilian fitness model husband who absolutely I could make a ton of money off of, naked videos and pictures, but there's just some sort of privacy that you kind of want in a relationship like that. But anyway, so this author or aspiring author had said, like, it's kind of discouraging, though, when you see that these people can really have no talent, and by talent we mean, again, the creative side of things, because when you're doing a book and you're the author, as an independent author, yes, you are having to go out there, you are having to whore yourself in a way that if you had landed a book deal, you wouldn't necessarily have to do in most cases. And so I said, yeah, I had to slug it out, but I also liked the marketing behind it. I like the creative side, to be able to say, I did every aspect of this. I wrote every goddamn word. I designed the cover. I did not hire somebody to design the cover. I made it. And I don't even know Photoshop, but I made this book. I had it printed. Okay, I can't say that I actually did the physical printing of it. You know, I got to give credit elsewhere. But I was, in the meantime, while it was being printed, I was absolutely doing the morning show blitz and getting myself out there, getting myself in the newspaper, getting interviewed. I arranged all of that stuff. I arranged all the book signings. I did it. So there's that sense of accomplishment when you can do all of that. Now, on the flip side, you could go and say these porn cam, what do I call them? Webcam guys and gals, whatever they're called now. You could say that they've had to market themselves too, right? They've had to build an audience. They've had to entice the audience to come back and come again and again and again. But it's a different sort of platform, different sort of audience. They're getting something different than you would from reading a book most of the time. And so, yeah, so basically you could go to school for all these years to get a journalism degree or creative writing or whatever it is, and then somebody can just take off their clothes in the shower or go naked in their backyard and make 5 figures just from a post like that. It really does kind of make you think, wow, you can really be rich. You can really get rich for doing very little. So anyway, if you're struggling, if you're out of work right now and you want just, you know what, beat off in front of the camera, guys, gals, show your tits. There you are. I guess that's the business advice I give to people now. Don't bother wasting weeks and weeks and months writing a book. Forget about it, as they say. It's not worth it. Go and jack off in the shower. You can make a ton of cash. We'll be right back on the Scribble.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. SpeakFreeWithJB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I've given you a few updates on the health of my dog. Oh, sorry, you know what? I've actually done it on the radio show. I'm not sure that I've done it on the podcast. I host too many goddamn shows, everybody. I don't know where I tell which stories. I have a 12-year-old golden retriever, and as with most aging dogs, he's getting a little bit slower. And we were at the park the other day, and this is where, again, I just figured that he wasn't listening to me. I just quite honestly thought that he's got this attitude of, you know what, I'm a senior dog. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. So when he kind of runs off, into the distance a little bit, normally you'd call him and he'd come back. He just kept going. So here I am barreling through the park. And again, he's a golden retriever, so it's not like he's a vicious dog, going and tackling somebody and going for their neck. If only. But I was very upset. I was very mad, right? Because I took that as a personal snub. Excuse me, I'm in charge here when we go to the park. How dare you not listen to me? And again, it's not like you're new here. I mean, you know the drill, you know the routine. And then the same kind of a thing happened. We were out going for a walk, and then we found another park. It seems like they're trained to see a field and then run to it. It doesn't even matter where we are. And they just assume, oh, hey, we're passing grass, we might as well go and run in it. And again, same thing had happened, but then he was slowing down, and I found that I'm getting impatient with him. So normally we could go for a walk for a good hour, sometimes even an hour and a half. I've got two dogs, 12-year-old golden retriever and a 9-year-old lab cross. And I was getting mad because we couldn't go for a walk for as long as we usually would. And I almost feel like I'm yelling at him going, oh, come on, we're going to do another block. Okay, come on, let's keep going. And it was very selfish of me, and I'm realizing it now, though, going, you know what? I know that he's wanting to keep up. Obviously, he loves going out for a stroll, and I should be thinking about his needs on this, right? I've got to be watching to see, is he slowing down? Is he huffing and puffing in the summer? Is he too cold in the winter? Whatever it is. But there was something that I was taking personally about it. And then come to realize that he's hard of hearing, if not completely deaf. I mean, I could sit there and almost whisper and then gradually get louder, practically shouting in his ear. Even the names of his toys, like he's got his stuffed animals that all have names and things like that. Normally, you say that name, he's running around the house until he can find it, and then he brings it to you. And so it's interesting how when we're in this situation, and I'm not just equating it to pets, because I've got a story about my family as well, but how we almost need to sort of take that step back and go, okay, wait a second, this is a 12-year-old dog who's, admittedly almost past the life expectancy of a golden retriever, if not already, and he's still doing pretty good. Quite honestly, he's, like I said, we're going for decent lengths of walks, and he's still, lucid, he's still around. But you kind of just get angry. And I started to get angry because he's not the youngster that he used to be. I'm getting angry because he's not, as quick as he is or as he used to be on the walk. I'm getting mad because he can't hear me when I'm talking to him. But then I've got to take that step back and go, wait a second, he's probably really sad that he can't hear me anymore. He probably has no idea what's going on. Hey, I see this guy's mouth moving, but why can't I hear what he's saying? Like, why don't I know what's going on? And it isn't until you have that realization that's when you can have that compassion for something or somebody else. And I equate this now to my family, because when my grandma, and I've talked about her being in a home, and I've talked about like going and playing bingo there and things before the virus hit. And something that my aunt, my uncle, my mom, my relatives were just getting very frustrated with her before she went into the home, because she would call them all the time, or she was, her health wasn't that great. And everybody was up in arms because it was annoying, because she was calling them all the time, or she was crying all the time. And then you come to find out she's got dementia, and, is 90, she's 92 now. She turned 92 in April. And, you've got to wonder, like, what's going on? And then when she was moved into the home, so she was removed from her house, put into a care home situation, that everybody's like, oh my God, she's crying every day. Oh my God, she doesn't, she's, every time I'm about to leave, she starts crying and whatever. And I say, like, you got to think about this for a second. She was in the same house with my grandpa. I mean, my grandpa died 12, 13 years ago. Yeah, about that. And she never really did get over him. I mean, they got married when she was 16. They met at 15 and married at 16. He was 17. And that's all she knew. She doesn't know a life aside from being... Now, this is going to sound sexist, but she doesn't know a life without having a man. And what I mean by that is, back in that day, he did all of the stuff around the house. She did all the cooking and cleaning and things like that. And again, those were just the roles back then. And here's the deal. It worked for them. So you know what? If you don't care for it, piss off. It worked, and they had a happy marriage that they were still walking down the street holding hands. And, she still sat on his lap at the kitchen table when company was over. So you know what? It worked for them. Who are we to judge? Anyway, but, after 60-some years in the same house, and she's moved into this home where she doesn't know anybody, all of her, her possessions, and I'm just saying even things like comfort. I'm saying like your own bed, your couch, your, like her slippers and things like that went with her. But I mean, that's little comfort when, you've got a home. This is my property. This is my territory. This is my yard. This is my bathroom, my bedroom, my kitchen, my whatever, to then almost have like a hospital room. And then you're just dropped there. And you don't know anybody, and you hear people screaming and crying in other rooms because they also want to go home. Like, I could only imagine how terrifying that is, quite honestly, especially if you don't know what's going on. And so that's where, again, it's frustrating for us. I'm going to use the term victim, but I don't mean it like that. What I just mean is the person who feels like they are wrong. Do you understand what I'm saying? And, you've got to think about, the person that you're getting angry at. Quite honestly, I mean, I have a fun time, to me, I don't normally work on Wednesdays, and so I would go, she's not too far from when I am in Winnipeg, she's not too far from the house that I have, and, it's 3 hours of my time, whatever. I have an early dinner, so I go there, bingo is an hour, and then we go and do a puzzle or something after, and then I come home at, 9 o'clock or whatever the hell time it is, and... there are times when she's crying, she's upset, she'll tell me the same story over and over again. She'll ask me about my dogs, and I've taken the dogs there as well, and she'll say, oh, is it both boys? Oh, what's the name? And, I don't mind telling her because I know she's not doing it to just be annoying. I know that she's not, trying to just pester me. And so that's, like I said, I relate that now to my dogs when I feel... like, okay, we're heading to the end of their lives. One, like I said, is 9 years old, so I'm assuming as a Labrador Retriever, he's still got a few more good years because they're both very active dogs, very healthy. Knock wood, right? And, it's not about, and I, quite honestly, I don't know if you could pick that up in the microphone just now, but one of them, the old one is hacking in the background. But that's what I'm saying is that, we're going to be heading for that time where I'm going to come home from work and there's a mess on the carpet. And, normally... you kind of, you're inconvenienced and you yell at them and you say bad dog, whatever. But when you think about it, think about what the dog is saying. He's like, I couldn't hold it. It's not like I'm doing this on purpose. It's one thing to just go and lift your leg on the couch to be a jerk, sure. But they know better than that. And so I always have to kind of take that step back now and say, you know what, it's going to happen, right? Because their kidney, their bladder, whatever it is that makes them go to the bathroom, they can't hold it as long. We're heading for that territory, and we'll put out the little mats for them to go. And if he misses it, well, you know what, he's trying his best. And so I'd like to know your thoughts on this if you've experienced it with a human or a pet. I mean, the emotion is still the same. You still want the best for them, but somehow you feel like it's hurting you, and that's the selfish way of thinking. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I feel that it's wrong because they're the ultimate, and I'm going to use the word patient because, you know what I'm saying after this 9-minute explanation, but, they're the ones who are inconvenienced. They're the ones who can't hold it, to go to the bathroom. They're the ones who are taken out of their house, without any say and just dropped in a care home. But, it's all about how things affect us, isn't it? It's a very selfish society. So I can tell you there's been so many nights when I felt bad about the way I've either talked about my grandma, heard people talking about her, and then the same way I react and talk about my dogs if they do something and I know that they don't mean it. But yeah, so send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on this Scribble. I'm going to start this segment with a statement that's going to make you go, who cares? I have a credit card expiring this month. Okay, there, I just heard you say it, and now let me tell you why I'm telling you that. As a cheapskate, as a best-selling author cheapskate, I should point out, right? I wrote the book called The Official Guide to Being a Winnipeg Cheapskate, and also there's a version called The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate. I wrote the book about creative ways to save money and also then spend money, right? It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not about investing. It's not about anything like that. I'm just a guy who, when I bought my house, I looked for ways to save money because at the beginning I had every TV channel, I had my cupboards full, my fridge full, my groceries going bad because I wasn't eating them, and TV channels I was paying for that I didn't even watch. And so I started to do little things throughout the course of the year to save money. And one of the things that I did was I got rid of credit cards. I had one just in case, that I needed whatever, right? Something comes up, and at the time, I didn't have $4,000 in my bank account, so you know what? If I needed to draw on a credit card, I did it. And now I'm financially stable. I am good to go. And one of the things that I found, and every money expert, and I say money expert in quotation marks, would tell you is that credit cards are bad, right? And if you don't have them with you, that's even better. When you're out shopping, leave the credit card at home. You don't have to cut it up and never use it. I'm just saying leave it at home, don't bring it with you. So then you're not tempted to overspend. If you just have your bank card or cash, people who still carry cash, then there's no risk of overspending then, right? It's not like you can overspend. I'm saying that you're not spending money you don't have. Well, with my credit card expiring, I am getting a ton of notices from businesses, places, whether it's whether you have a monthly subscription to like Amazon Prime or whatever it might be. This is a really good time to make you rethink where you're spending, because I actually completely forgot that I was paying, $10 a month for this, $15 a month for that, until I got the notification. Now, yes, I do look at my credit card statement. I also have an accountant who pays the bills for me, so I don't necessarily look at my MasterCard bill every month. Come to think of it, it actually doesn't. Does it come to me? Sometimes it comes to me, sometimes it doesn't. I think she picks up the mail, and there you go. And I don't normally look at what I'm spending on sometimes. And again, it could be an automatic deduction from your bank account too. So when your credit card expires and you start getting all these manic emails from companies, update your credit card, update your credit card, update your credit card. Some of them I have, maybe it's not even a monthly subscription. Maybe it's just they had my credit card on file before, which is kind of creepy that they still have it. And they're, I had to create a FedEx account one time, just outside of our business account. I just needed to make a FedEx account, which was about 3 years ago. And I'm all of a sudden getting emails that my credit card is expiring with you. Well, I appreciate that. But this gives you the opportunity to go and say, you know what? I'm not using this service anymore, so let me just allow it to lapse and forget about it again. And then I'm not spending that $10 a month anymore over the course of the year, right? $120. And if it's a $20 subscription or a $30 a month subscription, it really does add up. So I thank the businesses and organizations that send you the friendly reminder, hey, by the way, your credit card's expiring. At the same time, tread lightly, because if you keep doing it over and over again, you're just putting your brand at the forefront of my mind to go and say, you know what, screw them. I don't even use that anymore. Forget it. So anyway, just another cheapskate, a free cheapskate tip for you on this free podcast, everybody. If you have any money saving ideas, I'd love to hear from you. Live at jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back. Okay, so earlier in the show I was talking about entrepreneurs and how you got to make a name for yourself and make a ton of money. I gave you the name of my book, my best-selling book. I didn't tell you where to get it, though. So entrepreneurs, I hope you're still listening. if you're going to say the name of the book, tell people where they can get it as well. So the official guide to being a Winnipeg cheapskate, or the official guide to being an American cheapskate, you can get at cheapskatebook.com, on Amazon, or wherever else you download books. If it's not on that platform, email me, and hopefully we can get it on there ASAP. So that's the thing. You hawk your product, and then you tell people where they can get it, okay? Entrepreneurialism 101. And the people that are jerking it for their fans and whatever, well, keep it up. My name's... It's time to go. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Feel free to give me a shout, unless you're going to boo my jokes. I don't want to hear from you. Again, live@jbonair.com is the email address. I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter @thescribbleshow. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.